Hello guys, I hope all of you are doing well, and today I welcome all of you to Farmcast. So obviously this is a podcast, but I fondly like to call it as Farmcast. Why? Because this is where I will mostly talk about pharmacology, right? So that is why I call it as Farmcast. And the first question is, guys, why have I started this Farmcast? What am I gonna talk with you guys about here? See, the answer is simple. While you prepare for your NEET PG exam, you go through your video lectures, notes, QBank, and all of these, they constitute active learning. Means where you'll use most of your senses and you need to immerse yourself. Now that takes a toll on all of us, right? And there is a period, it might be during the daytime when you're preparing, or might be at the end of the day when you feel that that's it and I cannot do anything more, I need to take a break, or I might need to call it a day. Right now, guys, that is when this Farmcast is gonna help you. I thought, why not end your day with some passive learning, or why not embed your day in between when you are tired? Let me give you some passive learning in the form of this Farmcast. So what to expect in this Farmcast, guys? Every day I'll discuss at least 5 to 6 drugs of choice here, plus something important related to that drug or that disease for which it is drug of choice. So every day we'll be able to revise 5 to 6 drugs of choice, something about those important about those drugs. And for that, what you need to do is you need to just on this podcast, plug in your earphones, close your eyes, relax, and then let the passive learning take control of your brain. Right, so that is what I have thought here, guys, about this. So apart from that, every day when you are done with the drug of choice, for few minutes, couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, I'll talk about something related to your preparation as well. For example, it can be anything, guys, like your test series or revision, or how to go about a particular subject which you're weak in. So whatever your doubts I receive continuously, I'll pick up any one small topic and I'll talk about that for 2 to 3 minutes. So in all, overall, every day I'll try to keep it short and sweet, and I'll try to keep the duration from 5 to 10 minutes of these Farmcasts. So guys, let us begin today, and these drugs of choice would be alphabetically, so I'll go from A to Z. Today is the first drug, guys, Acinetobacter. Right, so the first question for you guys is, tell me, for Acinetobacter, what is the drug of choice? Right, so here there is no single drug of choice, there is a class which is the drug of choice, guys. Think, which class is the drug of choice? Alright, I'll give you a clue. It belongs to beta-lactams. So is it penicillins, cephalosporins, carbapenems? Now I think most of you would have got it right, guys. So it is carbapenems. So the class carbapenems is most preferred. It is the drug of choice for treatment of Acinetobacter. Now one thing that they can ask you here is which carbapenem is not active against Acinetobacter as well as Pseudomonas. So I'll repeat it again. Which carbapenem is not active against Acinetobacter as well as Pseudomonas? Think, guys, think. Which one is it? Is it imipenem? Is it ertapenem, meropenem, doripenem? Guys, it is ertapenem. So Pseudomonas and Acinetobacter, ertapenem is not active. So this is something they can ask you. Second thing they can ask you is, suppose there is a strain that is resistant to carbapenems, right? So carbapenem resistant Acinetobacter, what am I gonna use? Think, guys. Think about a drug that is used only for resistant gram-negative infections, because it is very toxic, nephrotoxic, and neuromuscular toxicity, etc. can be seen with that drug. I'll give you a clue. That drug starts with C. Anything rings? It is colistin, guys. Colistin or polymyxin E or colistin. It is a drug that is reserved for treatment of resistant gram-negative infections like Enterobacter or Pseudomonas or Acinetobacter. So colistin would be used. The last thing I would like to tell you here about carbapenems, guys, or I'd rather like to ask you is, which carbapenem causes seizure as a side effect? Which carbapenem causes seizure as a side effect? And guys, this has been asked recently as well. Many years back it was asked. Here the answer is imipenem. So imipenem causes seizure. Right guys, so it is usually seen in patients with renal failure because of drug retention. So in renal failure patients on imipenem, you need to decrease the dose, otherwise there can be seizure. Alright guys, let's move on to the second drug. The second disease for which we are going to search the drug of choice. And your second one, here it comes, it is acromegaly. Think guys, which class is preferred or is the class of choice for treatment of acromegaly? Guys, the class is called as somatostatin analog. And in somatostatin analog, you can use either octreotide or lanreotide. Some textbook they mention octreotide is drug of choice. Some mentions lanreotide is drug of choice. So it does not matter. It is not a controversy. It depends from country to country, hospitals to hospitals, which drug they prefer. So the class remains same, right? So they will not give you octreotide and lanreotide both in the options, right? So that is an important thing, guys. Second is, what if the patient is not responding to somatostatin analogs? What would be now my drug of choice? Think guys, which drug is used? I'll give you a clue. That drug is inhibitor of growth hormone receptor. Think now. Growth hormone receptor inhibitor, guys, is a drug that starts with alphabet P. Pegvisomant. Pegvisomant is reserved. It is a growth hormone receptor antagonist. It is reserved for treatment of octreotide resistant acromegaly. Next thing, tell me, what is the side effect of pegvisomant? What does pegvisomant cause? Pegvisomant causes pituitary adenoma. So if they ask you on a regular checkup on the follow-up, what will you check in the patient? Regularly, what would you follow up in a patient on pegvisomant? Think guys, what would you do? See, think. Pituitary adenoma, when it grows, it will compress the optic chiasma, and because of that there would be visual field abnormalities. So guys, what you need to check for a patient on pegvisomant? You need to check visual field, right? Fun fact, some student told me as an answer that we need to do regularly MRI. So I told him, why not go for a craniotomy, right? It will be more visible if there is adenoma or not. So guys, you cannot go for MRI because it is very costly for follow-up process every few months. So better you can go for visual field, which is free of cost. Alright guys, move on to the third drug, third condition for which we need to find the drugs of choice, that is actinomycosis. Guys, so tell me, what is the drug of choice for actinomycosis? Your clue is, it is a beta-lactam. It is a beta-lactam and it is penicillin G. Right guys, so penicillin G is the drug of choice for actinomycosis. Now if they ask you, but you know that penicillin G is a parenteral drug. Now if they ask you what is the oral drug of choice for actinomycosis, your answer would be amoxicillin guys, amoxicillin. In case they ask you the patient is allergic to beta-lactams, listen to me carefully. In case they ask you the patient is allergic to beta-lactams, then what would be the drug of choice for actinomycosis? Guys, we go for doxycycline. Doxycycline. So remember, actinomycosis, penicillin G drug of choice, oral drug of choice, amoxicillin, beta-lactam, hypersensitivity. In that case, we go for doxycycline. Alright, let's move on to the fourth condition for today guys, and that is acute bleeding gastric ulcer. So in the case of acute bleeding gastric ulcer, what is the drug of choice? Now guys, I'll tell you the drug of choice, and that is intravenous proton pump inhibitors. And I had a lot of doubts on this, that sir, why PPIs are the drug of choice for acutely bleeding gastric ulcer? What could be the reason? See, the reason is very simple. Whenever I give intravenous proton pump inhibitors, what they do, they make the pH basic. And what a basic pH does in the stomach, it promotes coagulation, and that is how it is going to help the patient guys. So acutely bleeding gastric ulcer, drug of choice are intravenous proton pump inhibitors. The last drug of choice for today guys, it is acute heart failure. So in acute heart failure, we are dealing with two things. One is inability of the heart to contract. Second is pulmonary edema. So for inability of the heart to contract, I need to use positive inotropes, and the positive inotrope of choice is, think guys, which one is it? It is dobutamine. Unless it is mentioned Then it is a case of acute heart failure with oliguria. In that case, I'll go for dopamine because dopamine causes diuresis and will take care of oliguria, whereas dobutamine has no effect on oliguria, right? So only heart failure, acute heart failure, dobutamine. Acute heart failure with oliguria, then we go for dopamine. And alternatives, if the patient is not responding, we can go for phosphodiesterase 3 inhibitors like milrinone and levosimendan. Now here I would like to mention two things about levosimendan which they love to ask in a NEET exam. Levosimendan is a potassium channel opener as well, plus it sensitizes myocardium to calcium ions. So these two things are important for levosimendan. Alright guys, the other half of acute heart failure is pulmonary edema. And pulmonary edema, guys, what is the drug of choice for pulmonary edema? Guys, the drug of choice for pulmonary edema is furosemide, right? Furosemide is the drug of choice for pulmonary edema. If the patient is not responding, in that case, I can go for intravenous nitroglycerin. And if the patient is still not responding, I can go for nasiritide, which all of you know is a BNP analog, brain natriuretic peptide analog. And one thing which is important, you must know about nasiritide is it is metabolized by an enzyme. Think guys, think which enzyme it is. It must be in your brain somewhere. Which enzyme it is? It is neutral endopeptidase. Right guys, so that's all for today in the section of drug of choice, right? So as I said, I'll be ending this Pharmcast with something related to your preparation, and today I'll be talking something about test series. So many of you guys, you keep on messaging me that sir, I had been preparing for the last 6 months, 7 months, and I'm through 70% of my course. But what I'm saying is my score is not improving in the mock test, my rank is not improving, and that is why I am getting depressed, I'm getting demotivated, and I'm not getting the positive reinforcement from my preparation. Now guys, let me tell you one thing to begin with. The first thing is, irrespective of what is your result, what is your rank in a mock test, right, make it a point, you need to give at least 1 to 2 mock tests, maximum 2, at least 1 in a month, every month. Now the reason why we need to give this mock test, guys, there is a long list of reasons why you need to give this mock test, and believe me, your percentage or your performance does not come as the most important reason. The most important reason why you need to give a mock test is because at the end of the day, your exam is MCQ based. So you need to do net practice. You remember cricket, you cannot just go and play the match directly. You need to do net practice. You need to practice right before you go and play. Otherwise, you cannot see the ball when it is swinging. So when you are preparing and you are going through this mock test, you're actually preparing for the exam. That is one benefit. Second is, guys, when you give this test series, you learn a lot about the topics which are repeatedly being asked, right? So that goes into your permanent memory when you give this mock test. Third, see, remember, when you actually get the actual representation of how you're performing in your mock test is when you are at least through one revision. So guys, believe me, whenever you are through that first revision, your rank is gonna drastically improve after that. So now you're not even through 60-70% of your course, or you have barely finished your course, then also you're not going to do that well. So if you take just 1 to 2 months and do one revision after you have finished your course, you will see guys, your rank would improve like anything. Alright guys, so don't lose hope, don't give up, right? Many of you might feel that the pressure, because the pressure keeps on mounting as we'll go towards the fag end of preparation. There would be a lot of factors, and this is when actually your mettle would be tested. What are you made up of? So guys, keeps your hope high, prepare well, and all the best. Thank you, bye bye, take care. This was Dr. Ranjan with you.